My name is Michael Cohn, and my job title would be best described as president slash owner of a company. And I'm also a software developer, and I would also say I'm a what's called a PR manager, which would be public relations management. Those are my three main roles right now. The first thing, first of all, as a business owner, is my overall overarching goal is to set priorities. I have to be the guy who creates the dream, and then I have to share the priorities with others and guide them in that process. For I'll go to the PR part next. Uh, I am the one who has to dream up how to interface with customers. Basically, you have to share the good news with customers about your product, and that's called public relations or PR for short. And so I have to manage that as well. And I'm also, just as importantly, maybe the most important at this point in my career, I am a software developer. Some people would call me a software engineer. I just call it software development. Basically, I have to develop software in order to create a product that I can then sell to customers. Well, obviously, software development, which means I have to write code, and I do a lot of graphic modeling, which I'm going to show you in a moment. For math, I would say you have to know, for what I do, you have to have a basic idea of algebra, trigonometry, especially a thing called vector math. For young people, vector math sounds a bit scary, but it's not scary once you learn how to use it as a tool. And I would say physics is important, but I would say that's just another area that you should delve into in order to become a manufacturing engineer. Like if you're in manufacturing, or a mechanical engineer, or a process engineer in the manufacturing environment, or electrical engineer. So those are the areas of STEM. Now, when I was in college in the late 70s, I had an experience in a class. I was in business statistics, it was called, and I had a Texas Instrument 55 programmable calculator. And I asked my professor if I could program that calculator with all the formulas I need to take the test, if he would allow it. He said, well, if you can program the calculator, then you obviously understand the answers to the questions. Therefore, the answer is yes. And so I did it, and I tested it thoroughly, went into class, and I finished the test in 10 minutes and got 100%. Nobody else did it. It was unheard of at that time to use a computer to actually help you take a test. And so the whole concept of making things really fast and never make mistakes while you're going fast fascinated me. This is a whole new way of thinking for me. And it was like the beginning of the personal computer age. I mean, personal computers had just come out in the Apple platform. So that's how I first got started with this. And then when I graduated from college, there were no jobs that I could find anywhere. And I was looking for a management job in some factory somewhere, and it didn't materialize. What was available was I could go home to my parents' factory, which was in tube fabrication, and I could work there with them. And I really didn't want to do that. Never in my dreams did I want to do this. So I got back into that. And my father encouraged me to develop my computer skills in the direction of tube fabrication. He said, everything is done by hand. All the measurements are done by hand. All the drawings, the prints are done by hand. And so I bought myself a computer at Kmart, a TI 99 4A, taught myself how to program. That's the hard way to do it, but I did it. It was fun. Took my computer into the shop and then taught myself how to develop and draw what are called tube layouts, which are full-scale blueprints on a giant plotter. And all of that was just fascinating to me, and another way to get away from actually not doing what I didn't want to do, and that is actually bend the tubes. I didn't want to do that. And so it became more and more apparent to me that this was really going to be something of the future. And that's how I got interested in computers right there. I'm going to say a college level education in engineering and computer science is helpful. but it's not absolutely required. But you need to be ready to learn that level. And I think that it's a good start to do that. It's even better to start before college, which is, of course, what you guys are doing. And that is the best way to start. Just start early. And then on the job education is really important. Trying to get into an apprenticeship type situation, either during college or post college, I think is really helpful because you walk away with an actual application to what you've been, all of these abstract ideas you've been learning. So that would be my answer. Um, Using a computer is fun. It always has been. It just is fun, and that's one thing. When it gets hard, I remind myself, and it does get hard, really hard sometimes. I'm working on an algorithm right now that's really hard. Um, I remind myself that if it were easy, then everybody else would have already solved the problem, or somebody would have solved it. But um, I'm going to solve this, and I'm going to be the one person who does it, and that gives me joy. That gives me happiness to do that. I really love dreaming and imagining something into existence, like the software that you just saw, from nothing to something. And I especially love it when I show something like this to a customer and the reactions I get are, wow, why don't we have this yet? Or a customer will say to me, I need a solution to a problem. And so then I add that solution to my software, and they're just overjoyed. There is something to be said for being affirmed and being needed by the world when you're producing something of value for the world. So all of that is what highlights my work. Number one, whatever it takes, you must conquer STEM. That might be for you or for anybody. It could be mathematics, it could be physics, could be engineering. And early on, the struggle I had as a student was, I'll just be open and candid about this. I had a lack of discipline in mathematics. I couldn't see how it's going to apply to anything in the future for me. Physics was my favorite class, which really brought me back around to mathematics. And I realized that I'm going to have to go back in and really learn mathematics, meaning I'm going to have to conquer it, even though I didn't think it was important when I was in junior high and high school. All of a sudden, I realized later on that, oh, it is important, and I'm going to have to start over in algebra because I have to learn this stuff. And then it got serious. So you must conquer it. And for any young person who says it's too hard for me to understand, just remember that other humans have figured it out. Therefore, you can figure it out because you're a human too. Do not give up on yourself. Absolutely do not. Just buckle down and discipline one step at a time, and you will learn it. When you do this, you will most likely you will have a job. Okay, when you conquer STEM, and uh, I mean, just to give you a little example, just a thought here. There are 340 million people in the United States. 340 million as of 2023. Well, there are 266,000 mechanical engineers. That is one in 1,278 people. So just imagine a crowd of people, 1,300 big. If you can put yourself in that situation, you would be like one person in that crowd of 1,300 because you have conquered STEM. That makes you the next needed thing. People will need you. And so it's important to conquer that. The second bit of advice is really, really try not to be overly concerned about your specific occupation when you're younger. Just be aware of opportunities as they come to you. Because, like for me, I would never have dreamed of doing what I'm doing today. Um, I was thinking about other areas. I had a few different dreams that I wanted to do. And now I'm looking at this area and I'm thinking, boy, I like this better than my dreams, you know? So it's important just to know that you don't have to figure everything out now. You just need to be watching for opportunities as you progress down the path of STEM. When you do find, this is my third bit of advice. I just gave you two. My third bit of advice is this. When you do find something that you do well and you really like, you need to figure out, in my opinion, how to monetize that, how to use it to add value to the world. You need to make that thing your specialty. You need to focus on that thing let's say in my case, I focused on this thing for 41 years. Okay. I started it in, well, actually longer than that, but for software development, 41 years. Okay. And I'm going to guess, I mean, out of the 8.2 billion people on the planet right now, I'm guessing I'm one of 50 people on the planet that does this or is known for doing this kind of work. One of 50. Okay. So that's one on 164 million people. Now, that's not because I'm super smart. It's because I've done one thing for 41 years and I've totally focused on that one thing. And I've had other people say to me, well, Mike, you could do this or you could do that. And I've said, nope, focus. So focus on your specialty, get really good at it. And as you continue to work into that, what I'd call a niche, that area of specialty, you will become the world's guru, one of them. You will succeed if you keep going down that path. That was easy. I wanted to be a fighter pilot. That's it. That's all I wanted to be was fighter pilot. My favorite board game by far is Scrabble. That's the only board game that I really do well. I don't know why the others. I just love Scrabble. Okay.
Great pick.
Yeah. My favorite video game years ago, I don't even know if it still exists, was called Castle Wolfenstein. That was my first favorite video game.